So here we are again, back by unpopular demand. Um, I'm busy storing nuts for the winter, or more accurately, nuts for the summer in the southern hemisphere, because I'm about to go away for 3 months and probably going to find it quite difficult to record too often while I'm away. I had every intention of recording last night, and then got some bad news from the south of England, where a beloved uncle who has been very sick since Christmas, had taken a turn for the worst. Uh, Long story short, his family was saying that he was probably not going to last much longer, and if I wanted to say goodbye, I should probably make the trip. So, given that I'm flying out at the end of this week and I'm not going to be around, I took a drive yesterday to see my uncle and my family, as you do, um, to say the empty things that you do, to make the gesture that you do. And then this morning, my aunt contacted me and told me that my uncle has left the building, gone to glory, to his way of thinking, to his belief system. And she said it was kind of lucky that I'd been when I went, and I agreed because I was glad I got to say goodbye and be there for her. And I was struck by the power of her faith and his faith, and how that carried them during this difficult time. Uncle John wasn't a particularly young man. I think he was 74, 75 years old, but he wasn't a particularly old man. He got sick quite quickly, and he's gone way too quickly, but also, I suppose, mercifully quickly, given that he got very sick very quickly. As you tend to do when these things happen, as I tend to do anyway, certain things immediately jump to mind. For me, my daughter, Gemma, introduced me to the musical Hamilton. Well, I'd seen reference to the musical Hamilton, but my daughter, Gemma, last year got me to sit down and watch Hamilton. On Disney Plus, she brought her boyfriend's PlayStation so we could do that. And I very much enjoyed watching the musical. I thought it was absolutely astonishing. I think Lin-Manuel Miranda is a genius. It's an astonishing piece of work. I might one day be able to afford to see it in London, but until then, I saw the Disney Plus version, and as it happens, last week, watched it again and found myself particularly taken with this particular song. Wait for it. Leslie Odom Jr. sings it so magnificently. His is the standout powerhouse performance in that play on Disney Plus. His performance is mesmerizing, and an interesting character, and the story is phenomenal. And all of the reasons why Hamilton is such a big hit are all valid. But this particular song today, for a particular part of that lyric, I suppose, really has been just bouncing around in my head all day, with the news of my beloved uncle being taken from us. He became certainly one of the nicest human beings I ever met, one of the kindest, one of the sort of most generous of spirit, and a lover of life, and a man of deep, genuine faith. So much so that Joyce tells me that when he was in hospital, just after Christmas, I went down a couple of weeks ago to see him, and he got readmitted after an emergency operation. And so there he was, facing life and death kind of stuff, and he was still calling his family and asking them to get the church prayer group to pray for other people on the ward who he felt needed their prayer. Now that's real faith. Believe the same thing he believes or not. That's real, genuine faith. That's not somebody gaming a system. That's not somebody playing the odds. That's someone who believes. And I believe myself that faith has carried him into his next step and is helping his family to see him on the way. As for me, I decided that one of the things I would put in the bank now would be this song that has bounced around my head all day because of my Uncle John, and I dedicate it to him, and I dedicate these thoughts to him, and I hope that something about them speaks to you, because if they didn't, this channel wouldn't be worth the paper it's not printed on. So this is Wait For It from Hamilton, which I urge you to watch. And this is, for me, there's a lot of standout songs in this musical, but this is one of the standout songs. And I've done it again. I must get used to this again. I need to click on that button there before I hit my space bar and then get a play. We'll get used to it again. We'll get used to each other again. This is Wait For It.
Theodosia writes me a letter every day. I'm keeping her bed warm while her husband is away. He's on the British side in Georgia. He's trying to keep the colonies in line. Well, he can keep all of Georgia. Theodosia, she's mine. Love doesn't discriminate between the sinners and the saints. He takes and he takes and he takes, and we keep loving anyway. We laugh and we cry and we break and we make our mistakes. And if there's a reason I'm by her side, and so many have tried, then I'm willing to wait for it. I'm willing to wait for it, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it.
So, if you don't know the story of Hamilton, this is Aaron Burr, the fool who shot him. What was the line? The fool who shot him. And during the American Civil War, Aaron Burr was carrying out an affair with the wife of a British officer called Theodosia. And he starts his song telling us about that. The thing that occurs to me about Lin-Manuel's lyrics here that are quite distinct from a lot of the writers, possibly with the exception of Fish, that I tend to respond to. At the risk of mangling terminology or putting him in the wrong pigeonhole, his hip-hop rap influences create a cadence and a rhythm that allows him to really densely pack these lyrics, to put a lot of words, a lot of syllables into this phrasing, an awful lot of content into what is still only 35 seconds of the track. And also that rhythm, the beats upon which the syllables are said, the beats upon which the words are hit, are quite fantastic and quite exotic to my prog rock and roll ears, while at the same time recognizing that this is probably one of the more conventional rocky type songs in this musical. But I love, if for no other reason, the denseness and the beauty and the cadence and the rhythm of his words. This is like good dialogue. This is like good dialogue. He writes great dialogue. He just happens to write it in a way that allows these amazing singers to sing it.
He can keep all of Georgia. Theodosia, she's mine. Love doesn't discriminate between the sinners and the saints. He takes and he takes and he takes, and we keep loving anyway. We laugh and we cry and we break and we make our mistakes. And if there's a reason I'm by her side, and so many have tried, then I'm willing to wait for it. I'm willing to wait for it, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. My grandfather was a fire and brimstone preacher. But there are things that the homilies and hymns won't teach you. My mother was a genius. My father commanded respect. When they died, they left no instructions, just a legacy to protect. Death doesn't discriminate between the sinners and the saints. It takes and it takes and it takes, and we keep living anyway. We rise and we fall and we break and we make our mistakes. And if there's a reason I'm still alive, when everyone who loves me has died, I'm willing to wait for it. I'm willing to wait for it.
So there it is. When we get past the verse dealing with both the story and the reason why this character is the man he is in this play, if not in life, based upon very detailed research done by the writer of the book, we get to the reason why this song is in my mind the day that my beloved uncle died. Death doesn't discriminate between the sinners and the saints. And it takes and it takes and it takes, and we keep living anyway, and we rise and we fall and we break. I once played a poker game where, as he was standing up from the table where he'd been knocked out, a friend of mine called Fabian, one of the best poker players I know, said to the man who had knocked him out by staying in a hand he should never have stayed in for an amount of chips he should never have invested, "Why do good things happen to bad people?" It's one of the funniest things I ever heard at the poker table. My Uncle John was a saint, not a sinner, although I'm sure he committed many sins, we all do. But he was taken when people 20 years his senior still continue. Death doesn't discriminate. And we keep living anyway. This man in the bed yesterday was broken in every possible respect, mentally and physically, and yet he clung to life because we rise and we fall and we break and we make our mistakes. But we stay alive. And to an extent, that to me is an incredibly powerful message. We stay alive. I lost a quote-unquote friend who decided that people without the money to raise their children, quote-unquote, properly shouldn't have them. And when I challenged his fundamental privilege on the basis of we as human beings keep living anyway and have the right to, that ended up in the end of a friendship that I don't mourn for one moment. Death doesn't discriminate between the sinners and the saints. We make our mistakes, but we stay alive. Yeah, that's why I came to this song. But what a song.
Mistakes, and if there's a reason I'm still alive when everyone who loves me has died, I'm willing to wait for it. I'm willing to wait for it.
So, okay, getting past the reason we're here. What a lyric. I am the one thing in life I can control. That's interesting. That speaks to Burr's character. I don't think it speaks to human nature, because I question how much any of us can really control ourselves in life. Or at least how much we actually have control, and how much the control is vested in our stomachs when we make decisions because we're hangry. There's genuine psychological studies that have been done that point out that we change our decision-making process based upon how hungry we are, based upon when we last eaten and what we ate. When we last ate and what we ate. That's terrible English. Our decision-making is governed by our stomach as much as it is by our heads. There's a reason why many cultures have believed that our spirit was vested here, not here. But yes, the one thing in life we can probably control the most is our own reaction to it and our own action in it. I am inimitable. What a wonderful word. What a phenomenal word. I am inimitable. In other words, I am uncopyable, singular, original. Yes, we all are. Every single one of us is a precious snowflake, just like all the others. Unique in every aspect and respect, and yet together we are this collective that that drifts up against the windows sometimes, especially on a sale day. What a thought. I am the one thing in life I can control. I am inimitable. I am original. I'm not falling behind or running late. I'm not standing still. I'm lying in wait. What a What a wonderful, 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 wonderful positioning for a character. In the context of the play, it's brilliant, even outside the context of the play. Pitching a person whose worldview is wait for your moment, pick your moment, endure, overcome, outlast. Burr would have won Survivor. There's no question. This Burr would have won Survivor. He would have outwitted and outlasted. Well, no, he would have outlasted everybody.
One thing in life I can't control. I am inimitable, I am original. I'm not falling behind or running late. I'm not standing still, I am lying wait. Hamilton faces an endless uphill climb. He has something to prove, he has nothing to lose. Hamilton's pace is relentless, he wastes no time. What is it like in his shoes?
So, this is an interesting verse. The difference between Burr and Hamilton in their history is Hamilton came from nothing and was always fighting to get something. Burr, with his fire and brimstone preacher grandfather, his genius mother, was it? Mother was a genius. His father commanded respect. Burr was sitting at the top of a pyramid and felt like the only direction in which he could move was down. And he felt that Hamilton's lack of advantage was his advantage. Now, isn't that a phenomenal thought? It's a difficult one to pitch to people with nothing. It's a difficult one to pitch to the 99% when the 1% has the top of the pyramid to themselves. But that idea that this man is paralyzed into inaction by the idea that he might lose. Poker again. One of my best friends. We started playing poker at about the same time. And I think he would probably admit in the last few years I got better than him. And one of the reasons I got better than him was I played more. But the other reason is I realized it was okay to lose. In fact, I embraced the idea that if I wanted to win, I had to be willing to lose. I had to be willing to make the right play at the right time. I had to be willing to take a chance. I had to be willing to be caught doing something stupid and get up from the table going, I tried. Which meant that sometimes I would win and sometimes I would lose. But I was very seldom simply clinging to the table, trying to last as long as possible and only doing the safe things. Burr is trapped in only doing the safe things, and Hamilton is willing to put it all in the middle. His pace is relentless. He wastes no time. These are themes from the play. And right at the end, this man who's singing the song called Wait for It just thinks to himself, what must it be like to be in his shoes? And that's with longing.
He has something to prove, he has nothing to lose. Hamilton's pace is relentless, he wastes no time. What is it like in his shoes? Hamilton doesn't hesitate, he exhibits no restraint. Takes and he takes and he takes and he keeps winning anyway. Changes the game, plays and he raises the stakes. And if there's a reason he seems to thrive and so few survive, then goddammit, I'm willing to wait for it. I'm willing to wait.
I hadn't even remembered this verse when I started talking about poker, but here he is framing it in terms of the game. Doesn't hesitate, no restraint. And when he says he takes and he takes and he takes, what he means is he keeps winning, he keeps scooping pots. He keeps winning anyway, no matter how often he does the thing Burr cannot bring himself to dare to do. He keeps playing and he keeps raising the stakes. And that's such a frustration to Burr. In just the same way as when you sit at a poker table with someone that is so fearless that they just outplay you with aggression and fearlessness, that can be totally frustrating. But the reality is that's the guy that's going to be at the final table when you're playing cash over across the room. It's a phenomenal character study, this play, with two absolutely brilliant performances, but there is no question in my mind, this performance, Leslie Odom Jr.'s performance, is the standout in this play, because the physicality of this man, this waiting Burr, is expressed on that stage with such conviction. I urge you to see it.
Plays and he raises the stakes, and if there's a reason he seems to thrive and so few survive, then goddamn it, I'm willing to wait for it. I'm willing to wait for it. Life doesn't discriminate between the sinners and the saints. It takes and it takes and it takes, and we give it anyway. We rise and we fall, and we make our mistakes. And if there's a reason I'm still alive and so many have died, then I'm willing to wait for it. 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 Wait for it.
Life doesn't discriminate between the sinners and the saints, and it takes and it takes and it takes, and we keep on living anyway. We rise and we fall, and we break and we make our mistakes. But we're still alive, and as long as we're still alive, I would suggest to you, don't wait for it. If nothing else, don't wait till Friday, till after your COVID test, to go and see your sick uncle. Go on Tuesday afternoon. Tell the people you love that you love them. Tell the people that need to hear it that you're there for them, and that you'll do what you can to help them wait for it. This was from my Uncle John. It's an amazing song. I almost certainly will be watching Hamilton again when I get to South Africa with some of my South African friends, trying to blow their minds with this incredible piece of history that has been reframed as this incredible study in the immigrant experience right now, and the experience of so many people who are striving and living and rising and falling and breaking. Thanks for watching. I hope you've got something out of this. As I always do, I trust you'll be back if you did, and if you didn't, I hope you will anyway. Keep the faith.